Have you ever thought of starting your own business? Making your life your own? Now's the time. To get started. Welcome back to Starting a Business Simplified. I'm your host, Susie Rains, and in this episode, I have guest Lisa Lewis here. Her and I are talking about the SheRise Retreat that she is doing coming up in October. She shares her story of how she decided to do this retreat and what it is that you can expect when you attend the retreat. We have a beautiful conversation about her purpose and what it is that she wants to do in her life as a therapist. So let's get into the episode. Welcome, Lisa, to the podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm excited to be here, Susie. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. And I know you have your own podcast, so it's always fun for me to have conversations with other podcast hosts. I will share all that information with the listeners in the show notes. But before we jump into our episode today, would you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, what it is that you're doing, and anything that you want the listeners to know about you?
Sure. So I'll just start off by saying I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed professional clinical counselor in the state of California. I'm also a personal energy healing practitioner, Reiki certified trauma somatics specialist, and a podcast host myself. This came to me in my meditation this morning. I am not just a retreat host. I am an adventure leader. And I like to
Oh,
lead women on adventures because I love adventures and I love to see people have an adventure that maybe they've never had before because those adventures lead to something, I believe, inside yourself. They open up something inside, I'm going to say the heart, that you can believe in yourself that anything is possible.
I love that. And that is such a true statement. When I think about all the things, areas of my life that I've grown, it's been through kind of the unknown, which is what adventures bring. Well, the topic of this episode is really the retreat, and I want to dive into that more. But before we get there, I just want to ask you about this idea of adventure. Like, where did that come for you? And what is it that brought you to say, I want to do a retreat? I actually want to do this.
Okay. Well, I think adventure is early in my DNA and my genes because my dad's side of the family are, we all love to travel. And so I think it's just something that's just in me, bred in me, that I have to travel. I have to have some sense of adventure. And what was the second question about what led me to this retreat?
Yeah, what was it that you were like, I need to do a retreat? Like, where did that come from?
So 3 years ago, there was an event in my family that brought me down really to the ground. And it's been in the last 3 years of me just really looking inside myself and discovering things about myself that I don't like, owning my mistakes, making amends, holding myself accountable and responsible for my behaviors and actions. And I'm still in the process of doing that with my family. And it was last year that I was at a retreat myself, a women's retreat. Well, actually, no, it wasn't a women's retreat. It was just a retreat. And the host of the retreat was, you've experienced some kind of trauma, and let's make this trauma something well served from the trauma. So it doesn't bring you down, doesn't keep you stuck in your life. And so what I came up with was doing like a pilot study, a retreat, a weekend, and with women. So I planned an overnight weekend retreat. I invited like 9 of my closest friends. And I was like, I'm just going to try this, see if I like it. and did it, planned it. I loved everything I planned. And what I found out, there was like something that I didn't like about hosting or planning a retreat, and that was all the different personalities. So I kind of put that off to the side because I wasn't really ready to look at that or manage that. And then over this last year, I I'm like, you know what, I can't let this stop me from doing something that I love to do. And I think this is where my personal growth comes in, working my edge. Yes, I can manage different personalities in a group setting. So I'm like challenging myself. And that's the whole idea, that then that inspired me, instead of stopping me, inspired me to take action and plan a retreat. And that's where it's led us, or led me to today. And even with the work that I'm doing with you, Susie, like that part of me also, I had to own that the financial piece, the numbers piece, the accounting piece, I am not good with that. And so when I needed that piece to come in to help me really in my brain and my body to put all the pieces together so I can see the outcome, the numbers, and have that piece that really I'm afraid of. I had to work with that. And that's where you've come in. And that's where we are today.
Yeah, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch, just working with you on just looking at things with a different perspective. And that's what you just described is a beautiful your growth. And I encourage people that listen on the podcast and also my clients working with you to go to the edge. I love that you said that, working the edge, like going to that place where it's uncomfortable, but asking for help and saying, okay, this is an area that I'm not really that familiar with and it's scary, but I'm going to get the right support and the right help to be able to go there. And out of that, you now have this beautiful experience that you're inviting 9 women to, and it's next month. I'm
Mm.
excited. Yeah. So let's talk about the retreat a little bit. I have been a part of the planning process with you. For those of you listening, Lisa's been working with me on the business side of things, which is what I do. But I want to talk about the experience of the retreat because I get excited when you and I share and we talk and you're telling me all of these things of what it is people are going to experience when they attend the retreat.
Yeah.
What does that look like for those that are listening and are like, I'm curious of what this retreat is? First of all, let's share with the parts of it, like what is the name of the retreat and what is it going to be about? What's that main focus point for the retreat?
Mhm. So the name of the retreat is called SheRise Retreat. And that, when I think of She Rise or She Rises, this is like even the part of me that was like flat on the ground and I'm rising up. And this is about, we don't have to have the same story. The 9 women I'm calling in. This is, this is not about the story. This is about what you're going to do with the story. And so you can be coming in with a broken heart. You can be laid out on the ground too. You can be coming in with anything, and just to acknowledge that. And I am there. And I'm going to talk about also the other person that's going to be there with us. 9 women that are really ready to like pull up your sleeves, get down and dirty. And I mean down and dirty, like really, like we're going to be like playing in the sand. We're going to be walking on the beach. We're going to be hiking in the mountains. We're going to be sitting around the campfire. So you may even smell like smoke, and being okay with that. We're not camping, we're glamping. So you still have that comfort of having a nice warm bed, a hot shower, even though in California here it's over 100 degrees and that sounds horrible right now. It's like this one cold, but it's going to be in the fall, and it's going to be at El Capitan Canyon, which is just north of Santa Barbara, in this beautiful setting where the ocean, the sea meets the mountains. And we have access to both, and we're going to be using both. So that's the She Rise Retreat.
That sounds amazing. And I grew up in a place in Southeast Alaska where the water meets the mountains and it's It's just amazing to be with the ocean waves, and then you look over and then there's these magical mountains behind you, and it just sounds so incredibly amazing. What are some of the things that you're actually visualizing for the transformation coming to this retreat? How many days is it, and what can the listeners expect as far as what they're going to get when they go home after the retreat?
Mhm. So the retreat itself is 4 nights, 5 days, October 31st, which is, I know it's Halloween, through November 4th, Monday, November 4th. So we'll be starting with dinner and campfire. And I also planned it intentionally because November 1st is the new moon. And so we'll be doing a new moon ritual, setting our intentions and goals for the month. And coming together, these 9 women plus me and Summer, who I'll be talking about in just a little bit, will be, I see that coming together as a sisterhood. And a sisterhood where, like for me, like I always wanted a sister growing up. And I don't have like a blood sister, but I've created sisters in my life right now who are coming in all different directions. And some of these sisters I actually pay money or I do an exchange of money. And that's okay. And that's what I'm learning about this process. But to go back to the retreat itself, the 4 nights, 5 days, coming around, being together and like in a sisterhood and a community where we're going to find out like what your baseline is. Where are you right now in your life? And understanding that about yourself. And then also looking at where do you want to be in your future? And looking at what is in that space between where you are now and like your future. And what lives in that space? What is getting in your way? What are the things that you're avoiding? What are the things that you need to clean up in your life? And it may feel overwhelming, but we take it step by step. And also in this process is also finding, coming back to your feminine energy and your feminine voice. And I'll just give an example for myself. In my long-term marriage over 30 years, I feel like there's been like a flip where I started out with this beautiful feminine energy and then maybe feeling like my husband wasn't living up to what I needed him to be. And I became this, the masculine came out of me. However, when in the work that I'm doing, I feel that this is the wounded masculine that's showing up and not the gift of the masculine. And I just want to give up some of that masculine energy and come back to my feminine energy where it's, yes, I could speak my truth. I can speak with assertiveness and also have it soft enough where the other person receiving it can hear it. So we'll be looking at that. This is the power of the feminine energy and the voice and looking at those differences between masculine and feminine energy, right? That will help us set those intentions for yourself as you leave the retreat.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your personal experience with this and how, and I know you're going to be bringing a lot of that to the retreat,
Yeah.
just sharing. And I love that it's the sisterhood and community of women because there's so much power in being together in an environment like that. I know the listeners know that I have a history of being in the army, and that was one of the things that we bonded over was we were in the trenches, like we were in the dirt and we were in the earth and we were getting dirty and all of us knew the pain of what we were going through together, and it made it so much easier to have a community that was experiencing the same thing at the same time. And I as you were describing that, that's what I was picturing is wherever the women are that are coming in their baseline, wherever they're starting from, all of you are going to work together to get to where they're going to be when they leave. And you're going to have that as a beautiful thing that bonded you in
Mhm.
that. I know you and I have talked about this for the listeners out there. Would you share a little bit about the connection calls that you're going to be doing before and after the retreat? Because I know for me, having a retreat experience is amazing, but it can also be you want to stay connected with the people after, or you want to know who's coming before. And I know
Mhm.
we designed it in a certain way so that people could experience that.
Yes. So I'm having 2 calls before October 31st. One is in the month of September, and then one in the month of October. And then I'll have 2 calls after the retreat where we continue. And, like, I'm not limited to 2 calls after the retreat. This is not like a one-time said and done deal, like, wash my hands of it. The idea is to build on something that we've created and to keep that creation building, where we can come together months, years after the retreat and still have that community where we keep building and supporting each other as we live our lives and manifest really what we want for ourselves. So the calls prior to the retreat is getting to know each other. I'll be talking about all the details, packing list, build that excitement, get to know each other, even if it's via Zoom. So when you get there, you really have a sense of connection. And then also to carry that connection and do some processing right after, because after we go home, that's one thing about doing the retreat, being there, going through that, it's putting all those skills, all those things that you've learned into action at home. And so checking in on that and continuing to build on that and have that support of community support from me and Summer to help you through like the tough times. If you feel stuck or you just need some extra support, just need someone to talk to. So that's what I'm really here for. I want that each woman to leave so inspired in the sense of renewal and purpose with themselves. And the people that they connect with in their own lives are going to notice that. And that synergy, right? That brings our whole our vibrational level up a notch. And that feels really good. And I think this is really like my purpose too, is to build people up and carry them through the really tough times in life.
I love that. And it's so beautiful because you do have that vibrational boost in a retreat in the live setting. And then just to be able to have something afterwards to stay connected and knowing that you, Lisa, are driving that. Like this is your purpose. It's like what I do with with the podcast, with people that I know, even guests that I've had on the podcast. I'll reach out to them again later and be like, hey, how are things going? Do you want to go live and talk about other stuff? It just keeping that momentum of whatever it is that we're doing, I think is so incredibly important. And I know you mentioned Summer, and Summer just recently was on my podcast. Her episode was a couple of weeks ago. So the listeners that have listened to that episode are familiar with a little bit about Summer and what she's doing. But I would just love for you to share how she's a part of this. And for those of you listening, Lisa is a teacher at Somagetics. Summer's a teacher at Somagetics. I teach at Somagetics. We all three work together there.
Mhm.
So we know each other very well in that setting as well. But how is it that Summer is going to be a part of the retreat?
So Summer Bardia, who I love dearly, I just want to back up and say I met her through Somagetics, and it was back during the pandemic when she was a student at what was Somagetics. And so fast forward, now we're all teaching there. And she is going to be doing the energy movement exercises, meditations. So I'm handing that part over to her, and she does it so beautifully. And I also want to come back to what, and I meditated. Came in my meditation this morning. I'm on the West Coast. I'm in California. Summer's on the East Coast. She's in New Jersey. And I feel like that between the two of us, we are that mama earth energy who have like, our arms are just wrapping all of these 9 women together. Right. And she's going to be coming over to California, but also like wrapping that beautiful mama earth energy where we're going to be holding you, cradling you. You're going to be rocking, crying, laughing. We're all going to be in this together. And so she has that beautiful, grounded, centered energy. And then me over here on the other side has that beautiful, grounded, centered energy. And that's where we come in together as like a unit. I feel as a unit. Yeah.
What a beautiful visualization. I could just picture that like we're just hugging the whole country from both
Uh-huh.
sides.
Yeah.
I love that. And Summers, I mean, she does when she does exercises in the Somagetics coaching program, it's amazing. I love the stuff that she does. I love your exercises that you do. For those of you listening that don't know, I teach the business course, but I also teach some of the actual trauma energy course material, but I'm again a student as much as a teacher in life and everything. I'm solid on business and I can talk numbers and strategy and all that stuff all day long. And I'm coming into my own. I'm growing into that place of being able to lead in energy meditations, things like that. But I always love what you and Summer are doing. And you inspire me to grow in that area, to go to my edge of what's comfortable for me. And so I think it's just so beautiful that the two of you are working together in the retreat to bring this beautiful life force energy to the group of ladies that are going to be there.
Mm.
So how is it that people can find out more information about the retreat or if they need to reach out to you?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a list of places you can find me. My first one is my website, and that is lisalewiscounseling.com. So that's LISALEWIS, counseling with one L.com. And so I know there's other Lisa Lewis counselings out there. So you'll have to look for mine. I'm sure this information will be in the show notes. Also, you can find me on Instagram, and it's not Lisa Lewis. I go back to my energy healing practice, and I haven't been able to change this name because I love it so much. And it's hands.of.light. That's my Instagram handle. And you can also find me on my podcast. I have my website, sensitiveinnature.com. I'm also Sensitive in Nature Podcast on Instagram.
Perfect. And I'll make sure all of that is in the show notes so that people can just click on the links and find you. Thank you, Lisa, so much for being here. Is there anything that the listeners can take away from just a tip that you want to give to the listeners, just with the experience that you have in life, in embracing, I think probably just embracing adventure?
Yeah, embracing adventure. And if you feel like you don't believe in yourself yet, just yet, allow someone else to believe in you. And this is like I think the beauty that I see even with people I work with individually in therapy, in my energy practice, is that they come in to see me for a reason. And it may be a specific reason. And I see like the beauty, their potential that they may not even be aware of yet. And so I hold that space for your like highest good, that your potential is possible. And like I want to help build you up so you believe in yourself. You walk away that you believe in yourself, that you can have what you want in your life.
Thank you for that message. I could not have said that better. It is something that I know you and I agree on, and we're here. I want to tell the listeners that are listening, Lisa's here. I'm here. Find the person who believes in you when you're not quite there yet. Because I know I've shared in other episodes where I needed to reach out to some, I still do. I have all the people that believe in me when I'm not quite there yet in whatever it is that I'm reaching for, because we're constantly evolving and growing. So just know that there's somebody out there. If you need to reach out to Lisa, reach out to me. We can direct you if there's a better fit, but you're not alone and you can do anything. Anything is possible. And if you need help getting there, that's what we're here for. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being here and sharing.
You're welcome, Susie. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it so much. I just adore you and love you.
Thank you. And for the listeners out there, as always, keep it simple.